I'm Lorne Baxter, and I invented the Internet.
Don't tell me words don't matter. I have a dream, just words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, just words. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, just words, just speeches.
Barack Hussein Obama. Within the Democratic Party, that name represents a new hope for some and an ominous unknown for others. Obama, the audacity. A junior senator who aspires to lead the most powerful nation in the world. His name alone has created major divisions in the political landscape. Barack Hussein Obama.
Will face in 2008.
There you go. Why don't we just ask Osama Obama what is, since he won by such a big amount.
Then they get President B. Hussein Obama in there, and he has massive majorities in the House and Senate.
So why do you keep saying B. Hussein Obama?
Well, that's his name.
But what's in a name? For many, his name does raise the question. When we are at war with Islamic terrorism, can Americans elect a man with not one, not two, but three Islamic names?
It's shocking that he's probably going to be our next president, President Hussein.
Barack's good looks and charisma have drawn the support of numerous young people and the bulk of the liberal entertainment establishment.
Yes, we can. It's an opportunity.
But how much do people know about the man National Journal voted the most liberal senator in Congress for 2007? Without researching, very little is known about Obama's background. But when an individual is running for the office of the president, every aspect of their life must be scrutinized to safeguard not only our nation, but the world as a whole. These are the footnotes of interest from the life of Barack Hussein Obama. Fact: Obama's father is a Muslim from Kenya, and his mother, a white American. Fact: Obama attended a Muslim school for 2 years in Jakarta, Indonesia. Fact: Obama has a vague voting record.
Over 100 times you voted present instead of yes or no. Why would you over 100 times vote present?
John,
I mean, every one of us, you criticized Hillary, you criticized me for our votes. We've cast hundreds and hundreds of votes. What you're criticizing her for, by the way, you've done to us, which is you pick this vote and that vote out of the hundreds that we've cast. And all I'm saying is, what's fair is fair. And what if I had just not shown up? Wait, let me finish. What if I had just not shown up to vote on things that really matter to this country?
Fact: a large Cuban flag featuring a portrait of the communist mass murderer Che Guevara is displayed on the wall of Obama's Houston campaign office. Fact: Obama refuses to wear the American flag as a pin.
I won't wear that pin on my chest. Instead, I'm going to try to tell the American people what I believe will make this country great.
Fact: Obama has refused to place his hand over his heart during the national anthem. Fact: Obama has attended Chicago's United Trinity Church of Christ for over 20 years.
This pastor has been Reverend Jeremiah Wright, the man who performed the Obama's marriage ceremony, and the man Obama credits for the title of his book, The Audacity of Hope.
I don't think that my church is actually particularly controversial.
Fact: Obama's wife Michelle implied that she hadn't been proud of her country until Barack started leading in the race.
First time in my adult life, I am proud of my country because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud
Fact:
of my country.
The pastor of Obama's church, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, was described by Obama as his spiritual mentor. Spiritual mentor is no small title. If Obama aspires to become the President of the United States, then isn't it fair to ask what he has been learning from this mentor for over 20 years?
Barack
Barack knows what it means to be a black man living in a country and a culture that is controlled by rich white people. The government lied about inventing the HIV virus as a means of genocide against people of color, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America.
Senator Obama, I want to begin by asking you about Don Imus. You have condemned his remarks about the women's basketball team at Rutgers. Let me ask you pointedly, do you think he should be fired?
I don't think MSNBC should be carrying the kinds of hateful remarks that Imus uttered the other day. And, you know, he has a track record of making those kinds of remarks.
So he should be off the air, off of MSNBC and off of CBS, off the air completely in your judgment?
Ultimately, you guys are going to have to make that view. He would not be working for me.
In recent news, Barack Obama has come under fire for his association with Reverend Jeremiah Wright.
Do you repudiate the man? Do you repudiate the comments? Do you repudiate both?
No, I would not repudiate the man. As I said, this is somebody who I have known for 17 years.
Although Reverend Wright has been encouraged to avoid interviews, he did make a brief appearance on Fox's Hannity and Combs.
He doesn't know anything more about theology than I know about brain surgery. So,
well, Reverend, here's my point.
No, let me finish. No, here's my point to you. If you're not going to talk about theology in context, if you're not going to talk about liberation theology that came out of the 60s, systematized black liberation theology that started with Jim Cone in 1968,
Reverend,
and the writings of Cone and the writings of Dwight Hopkins and the writings of womanist theologians and Asian theologians and Hispanic theologians.
Reverend, I gotta get this.
Then you can't talk about the black values.
But I'm going to tell you this. Listen,
do you know liberation theology, sir? Do you know liberation theology?
I actually studied. I studied theology. I went to a seminary and I studied Latin.
No,
I can go.
I said, do you know black liberation theology?
I'm very aware of what you're calling black liberation. But let me get my question out.
No, I didn't ask you what I'm calling. I said, do you know black theology?
Reverend, I'm going to give you a chance to answer your question.
How many of Cone's books have you read?
Reverend,
how many of Cone's books have you
read?
Most viewers took one thing away from this interview. Reverend Wright is rude. But beyond his remarkable lack of etiquette, Reverend was saying something that was easily overlooked. Let's look again.
No, I said, do you know black liberation theology?
I'm very aware of what you're calling black liberation, but let me get my question out.
No, I didn't ask you what I'm calling. I said, do you know black theology?
Reverend, I'm going to give you a chance to answer your question.
How many of Cone's books have you read?
Reverend?
How many of Cone's books have you read?
Wright insists that Mr. Hannity cannot even have a discussion with him without first understanding liberation theology and black liberation theology, according to the theologian Dr. James Cone. Liberation theology exploded onto the Central American political landscape as a Marxist strategy for undermining the teachings of legitimate Catholicism in hopes of expanding government control. Pope John Paul condemned the humanist doctrine, which had produced numerous socialist revolutionaries throughout the region. Communist mass murderer Che Guevara was even portrayed as a Christ type in liberation propaganda. Here we find our first connection to Obama. Historically, Marxism has always expanded government control, with programs like nationalized healthcare, gun control, and welfare, all of which are part of the Democratic Party's platform. And again, Che Guevara appears in Obama's campaign. Black liberation theology is an extension of the Marxist liberation theology that exclusively speaks to a negative African-American experience. Dr. James Cone, Ph.D., defines black liberation theology in his book. The following is an excerpt. Black theology refuses to accept a God who is not identified totally with the goals of the black community. If God is not for us and against white people, then he is a murderer, and we had better kill him. The task of black theology is to kill gods who do not belong to the black community. Black theology will accept only the love of God which participates in the destruction of the white enemy. What we need is the divine love as expressed in black power, which is the power of black people to destroy their oppressors here and now by any means at their disposal. Unless God is participating in this holy activity, we must reject his love. Black liberation theology views white people as inherently racist. Obama's description of his white grandmother articulates this prejudice.
A woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street, and who on more than one occasion has uttered racial or ethnic stereotypes that made me cringe.
The point I was making was not that my grandmother harbors any racial animosity. She doesn't. But she is a typical white person.
For context, imagine if John McCain had uttered the words, typical black person. His political career would be over. And why? Because Americans do not want racially divisive leadership. But then again, those are just words, right?
Just words. Just speeches.
But black liberation theology doesn't just revile Anglo-Americans. Reverend Wright calls Israel a dirty word and has equated Israelis to whites oppressing the dark-skinned Palestinians. He even put the writings of a Hamas militant in the church bulletin. He also broke U.S. law to travel with Nation of Islam leader and infamous hate-monger Louis Farrakhan to meet with the terrorist leader Muammar Gaddafi. And here we find another connection to Obama. Barack Obama has stated that if elected to the presidency, he will lift the ban on meeting with terrorist leaders around the world and agree to sit down with them, face to face. This policy is so radical, so potentially destructive to America's war on terrorism, that it alone could cost him the election. Let's connect the dots. With the assistance of Dr. Cohn, Reverend Wright, and other divisive figures, Barack Obama has been discipled in a racist, Marxist, quasi-Christian, anti-Semitic ideology for over 20 years.
Just words.
After that much indoctrination,
just speeches.
Is it surprising that he refuses to wear the American flag?
I won't wear that pin on my chest.
Is it surprising that he won't put his hand over his heart during the national anthem?
Not God bless America, God damn America!
Is it surprising that his wife has never been proud of America until it looked like her husband had a shot at beating Hillary?
For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country.
Ask yourself, could such an argument be built against John McCain, a decorated war hero who withstood years of torture for our country?
Why don't we just ask Osama Obama?
Can we afford to ignore the evidence?
Yes, we can.
Can Democrats expect Americans to elect a man who disrespects our national anthem?
Yes, we can.
Can Democrats convince Americans that you don't have to love this country to run it?
Yes, we can.
Can Obama refuse to disown Jeremiah Wright and still expect the support of Americans?
Yes, we can.
I'm Lorne Baxter, and I invented the Internet.